Welcome. My name is Angelique Bolding, and I am the Director of Business Development here at Photify and your host for today's Photify Academy. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is what goes into a brand. So whether you are creating your own brand or you're working as part of an established brand, we're going to dive into what really goes into creating a brand and some of those tactics. So first off, what is a brand? A brand is a set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, taken together, account for a consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. And that is from none other than marketing extraordinaire Seth Godin. And we're going to hear from him in just a second a little bit more on his thoughts on what goes into a brand and some of that brand positioning when you look at a set of expectations and as you start to explore the brand and its role in marketing. This video will talk more about Nike's brand strategy. And as you watch this video, we want you all to think about and look for and listen for all the different elements that contribute to the things we call a brand. All right, Seth, cue him up here. Take it away.
So there are a few things that need to be understood about Nike. Biggest one, you are not Nike. I am not Nike. Nike is a bit of a special case. Number two, the vast majority of Nike's future and its present is overseas sales. So they're showing up and they're saying, we're not Puma, we're not Adidas, we are Nike. Well, you can't say that by pointing to your sneakers, because in a blind taste test, the sneakers are all the same, right? Unless you're an elite athlete. It's about something else. Well, Colin Kaepernick is a signal. He's a symbol. He stands for something. And the other sneaker companies have been afraid to stand for what Colin Kaepernick stands for. So is it risky feeling to go into a divisive area of politics that I don't think should be divisive, but has become divisive? Of course it feels risky. But it was brilliant. It was brilliant because at the level Nike is playing now, the number of ways that they can stand for something, anything, is very small. And here, with just two words, they were able to say, us, him, we stand for something. When you talk about Nike, you are talking about standing for something, right? And the stock market has reflected that, their market share has reflected that. It's not easy for a brand to do something that singular. What's interesting is if Seagram's had done it, or Mattress Firm had done it, or some other advertiser, it wouldn't have worked because they didn't have the DNA to match it. It would have been a stunt. This wasn't a stunt. The people who knew Nike said, of course, it's very natural for them to do that.
Yeah, you're right. They've been seeding the market from the beginning, from youth sports all the way on up. And they've also been, the disruptor, if you want to use that buzzy word, in their industry, trying to do stuff differently and shake up.
Yeah, when you and I were kids, sneakers cost $8, right? So as a citizen, I am thrilled that they've given this brave individual a platform to speak his mind. As a marketer, a brand marketer, I look at that and say, if this is what the people at Nike truly believe, if this is where they're going and it's a non-cynical act on their part, I have to applaud it, because the kind of person that is decrying this psychographically isn't their core audience. It's not what they look like, how old they are, their income. It's what they believe. And they tend to not be an early adopter of fashion, that person. Well, Nike is selling to the early adopter of fashion. By the time their shoes are at Payless, they're not making any money at that end of the curve. They make money at the front of the curve. And the front of the curve, the early adopters, they're people who are playing with new ideas in the culture. They're not people who are trying to preserve old ideas in the culture.
Let's talk about what could go wrong or could have gone wrong. And maybe if we try this on another brand, what can other brands learn from this particular case study? We stand for this. People like us do stuff like this.
So let's talk about the difference between a logo and a brand, right? Because companies spend way too much time on their logo, just like people on YouTube spend way too much time on their hair. I'm told they spend way too much time on their hair. if Nike opened a hotel, I think we would be able to guess pretty accurately what it would be like. If Hyatt came out with sneakers, we'd have no clue, because Hyatt doesn't have a brand. They have a logo. If I swapped the signs on a hotel at that price point, you couldn't tell. If you were to Marriott, if you were to Hilton, if you were to Hyatt, the hallway, the room, I don't know, where am I? No brand. So what it means to have a brand is you've made a promise to people. They have expectations. It's a shorthand. What should I expect the next time? And if that is distinct, you've earned something. If it's not distinct, let's admit you make a commodity and you're trying to charge just a little bit extra for peace of mind. The problem that Hyatt and Hilton and Marriott and the rest have is sort by price. Because if I go online now to find a hotel, it's really simple. Sort by price. Why would I pay $200 extra to go a block away? I don't. So what's the value of a brand? The value of a brand is how much extra am I paying above the substitute? And if I'm not paying extra, you don't have a brand. So when we think about what brands ought to do to move forward, the most important thing is to not worry about your slogan, your spokesperson, the wrapping. It's to worry about the substance. Work that matters for people who care. Find the people who care, the smallest viable group you can live with, and figure out how to give them work that matters. So if we're still on the hotel thing, there are hotels, these new chains of mini boutique hotels, that charge double what a Hyatt might charge for less. But it's only less by the Hyatt measure. It's way more by the measure of someone who cares about what the people in the lobby look like, who cares about how hip it feels to walk into the bar. They're investing not in, oh, you get a room with 3 power outlets. They're investing in throwing a party in a place where you also can sleep while you're on the road. Those hotels have a brand. And those hotels are some people pay extra for, but almost no one in the scheme of things.
So we just heard from Seth, and if you're like me and you love his knowledge and everything that he talks about on the theory of marketing and branding, then I would definitely recommend reading some of his books. 2 of my favorites are This Is Marketing and Tribe. And I would also say to check out some of the podcasts that he runs as well. So if you're really interested in the theory and kind of the psychology behind creating a brand, really, really, really great influencer and thought leader to start with. So next we're going to dive into and elaborate a little bit more on the brands and how they serve several functions. So the first that we look at is a brand as an identifier. So it is more than a name, a sign, a symbol, design, messaging, or some kind of combination of those. But it very much is something that is important. You know, we look at the idea of Nike, that identifier for them, the swoosh for them, the just do it for them is very, very, very important to their marketing and their brand look and feel. And it also helps to simplify the choice for the customer, because when they're looking amongst several different products, that identity and that logo can help them make that decision. The next is a brand as a promise. So the promise that a company or offering will provide to the people who interact with it. And I believe this is also a Seth saying, but it's starting with why. So what is the promise? What do you always go back to when it comes to when you talk about your brand? What is your why, and what is the promise that you provide your customers and the people that believe in it? So a brand as an asset, that is your reputation in the marketplace that can drive price, premiums, and customer preference for goods from a particular provider. So I think that's really interesting to think about the brand as an asset, and especially as a reputation, because it is true. It connects to how people think and feel, and the fact that they'll pay maybe a little bit more because of the relationship that they have with your brand. And that dives into a little bit more about a brand as a set of expectations and perceptions. So the sum total of everything individuals believe, think, see, feel, hear, and experience about a product, service, or organization. I talk about this a lot in terms of the idea where a brand it's the perception, but it's also these sensory experiences and a brand experience that goes into how people feel about what you provide as a business. And every touch point, whether it's on your website, whether it's, I mean, obviously the product is very much, what you have to hone in on and make sure that you perfect, but every experience that they have from the moment that they call your customer service, the moment that they receive that box, with your product in it in their mailbox, or even if they pick up the phone and they call you or they're receiving your emails, everything ties back to that perception and how they experience the product, service, and your organization as a whole. And lastly, brand as mind share. So the unique position a company or offering holds in the customer's mind based on their past experience and what they expect in the future. So think about the last time you've interacted with a brand. For me, I'm very much a brand loyalist, where when I have a good experience with the brand and I have spent a lot of time learning about the brand, making sure that I align with their values and the products, I'll go all in. I go absolutely all in. And really, sometimes I've found that if there is an instance where I see somebody, even down to the leaders at a company and how they position themselves, if something is not still aligned with my values and what my beliefs are in that brand, that can change my entire experience. And the same thing goes for when I think about flights. I'm loyal to one flight brand, but there has been instances where, based on several negative experiences, my loyalty has then shifted because of those experiences. And even more so, what I expect of other brands and future experiences. So if some experiences are negative, but I have a lot of loyalty in this brand, I know that they've treated me right for years and years and years, I may still go back to that brand because I know and I expect that they are going to make it right. And so that is an example of how I've developed personal relationships with some of the brands that I know and love. So your brand experience. So we're going to elaborate a little bit more on the brand experience, which is all of the features that distinguish your goods and services from other sellers, including names, slogans, design, sign symbols, customer touchpoints, etc. So that as a whole is what goes into your brand experience. So a brand consists of all the features, but together these elements of the brand work as a psychological trigger or stimulus that causes an association to all other thoughts one has about a brand, which is pretty cool because you can think about a lot of your own personal experiences and how that really is a good example of your thoughts on that brand and that business. So next, we're going to talk about how to set yourself apart. So setting yourself apart in your brand identity is an endless sea of competitors and shows that your customers who you are and what they can expect from working with you. So if you think about the last time you engage on social media or across different media platforms, you're consuming a lot of content. There's a lot of different brands that are fighting for your attention. So how do these brands and how do you as a brand set yourself apart? Now, there's also a big difference between branding and brand. So you have a logo, but what is your reputation as a company? You have a website, but what do people externally think of you? The colors you use versus how you treat your customers, trendy swag, and cool graphics versus that feeling of community among your buyers. So when you think about this and you look at your customers and your audience, how do you create the community that people want to and continue to come back to? All right, so when we talk about creating an experience, this is where your brand is going to be it's going to be perceived in a positive light. It has to be crucial that you nail your brand identity and create an experience that accurately portrays who you are to your customers. Now, effective branding encompasses everything that shapes the perception of a company or product in the minds of its customers. So providing value in everything you do, from the product to the customer service and beyond, listening and learning from your customers to understand areas you can improve and ways to make their experience more streamlined. This is typically built into a lot of what you're already doing within your business when it comes to customer service, or even your comments that you see come in through your Facebook groups, your messages. Anytime you have an opportunity to learn from your customers and understand their feedback, it's a great opportunity to add that into your brand experience and see where you can either improve on, or utilizing it as an opportunity to, I guess, justify or evaluate what your current efforts look like. So keeping a keen ear to the ground on what your customers are thinking, and we always recommend too surveys. It's really easy to send those out at the end of an experience, or even have a person on the customer support line asking about, how was your experience today? What would you recommend? So that is a really important aspect, is listening and learning to your customers. And we work with a lot of real estate agents, and we work with a lot of folks in the direct selling space as well. But think about how easy it is to pick up the phone or ask a quick question after you've sold a product or you sold a house. Hey, what was your experience like? Where can I improve? It shows that you care. It shows that their input is also valuable to you. And of course, being consistent across the entire experience by mirroring image and voice. So anytime you are creating marketing content, you are talking about your brand out in the open, you're giving a presentation, always having your content mirrored so that the experience can always be tied back to who you are as a company or who you are as an individual within that organization. So think about if you are somebody that works for a large real estate company like RE/MAX. Now, you are an independent agent, but all of your content is going to speak to, and the voice speaks to, what RE/MAX represents, as well as their name, their logos, the branding, the colors that you use, the font choices. So that anytime your content is positioned in front of somebody, whether your name is on it or whether the content is with RE/MAX, those logos, those colors, that all ties back to what they can expect from your brand. So having that voice aligned is extremely, extremely important. Even if somebody does not see you or hear from you, they should be able to identify where that content comes from based on the visual or the message. All right, so the next thing we're going to chat about, actually, I'm going to go back and we're going to chat a little bit more about that, because the one other thing I wanted to talk about is the branding experience, and when it comes to this graphic. So it's a marketing practice of actively shaping a distinctive brand and perception. So just like our personal identities make us uniquely us, the brand identity is a special sauce of your business. And it's the collection of all elements that portray the right image to its customer. So what exactly is brand identity, and what does it have to do with design? How does it shape a strong brand, and what takes your business to the next level? We will be diving into that a little bit more in our next session, but want to be sure to take you guys through a quick exercise and demo of our enterprise product. We just launched the real estate marketing solution for our realtors, and in our relationship with the National Institute of Realtors. And one of the practices I want to take you all through today is this exercise and demo about how to create content based on your brand value. So the first thing that I want everyone to do, and you can utilize the Facebook app, and I hope you're listening along while using the app with me, but go ahead and create a list of 3 to 5 ways you provide value to your customers. So for us as Photify, we are a brand management and content creation platform for enterprise. That is one value. Our second value is that we remove friction from the process. So you're not having to go to 2 or 3 different apps to create the same type of content. Rather, you can use one app to create everything. And third for us is we're mobile first. So that means that we are created for people on the go. Not only do you not have to sit behind a computer screen, especially for our realtors, you can be on the go, going between open houses, going between showings, marketing your properties between, if you have 5 minutes standing in line at the coffee shop. We make it super, super easy. So with these 3 value points, I wanted to create a graphic using our video feature. So videos and overlays with Photify allow our users to create custom content using a video if that's something that you shoot yourself. So if that's you walking through, say, a home that you're modeling and you want to show off the kitchen or some of the other very unique features of this home, you can use your own videos. You can utilize videos from our stock library, which has upwards to 500,000 plus videos. Or you can, grab any videos that you have from Google Drive, Dropbox, etc. So all of those are available for you to start with. So what I've created here is a simple video of a workspace. And I used our Logo Plus tool where I uploaded our Photify logo. And I also uploaded a headshot and a quick screen grab of what our enterprise Photify app looks like. So for you, your real estate marketing solutions app, that's going to look a little bit different. It looks a little bit different across some of our enterprise partners because that is branded for them. But in any sense, what I wanted to communicate here is the idea that we have this movement going on in the background. I'm showing the customer the visual of what our app and our platform looks like, and also bringing in the human element of having the hand. But in the text creation tool, what I was able to do is use that feature to use our brand as Photify and our brand font so that it mirrored our branding. If you go to our website, everything looks cohesive, everything looks the same. And I pinpointed those exact 3 value proposition statements that I chatted about a minute ago. So I boiled those down to a quick few sentences, 3 sentences here, 3 bullet points. And then as an addition, I went and used the artwork tool from the Photify features, and I added our Google and Apple download functions. So I have created a video graphic that explains what my product is and explains the value of the product. It creates enticement, movement. We have things going on in the background with that video so that people are able to see that it's live. You can see that there's movement to it. It creates that, especially when we're talking about social media algorithms, video is a really big component for that because algorithms tend to serve video far more than they are simple graphics. So you're competing in that space for those eyeballs. And then I've created an opportunity and a call to action to say, download our app and get started. So this is one really quick exercise and demo that I definitely recommend taking, and one that you can think about in any piece of content that you create using the Photify app. And it's simple enough to just always tie back to the value that you want to provide your audience and your customers. So whether you're seeking to entertain, if you're seeking to educate, inform, always having that mindset of making sure that what you're providing adds value and what you're providing also tells them how they can get in touch with you and the actions that you want to take. So we are putting together a lot more webinars like this. So there's going to be some really great marketing insights, tips, and tricks. So whether you're just getting started, you need a refresher, you want to learn something new, there's going to be a lot of this content coming up for you. So we always recommend reaching out to us and letting us know what you're interested in learning more about, because that way, there's always more people that would probably share those ideas. So definitely recommend asking and giving that feedback. But stay tuned for more lessons in our Photify Academy courses where you can learn more. We do have the Photify Academy for Enterprise, so I can provide a link to that in the description of this post. And at any time, if you're using our app and you want to learn how to use our features, we have a self-serve and or structured curriculum. And that allows you to, pretty much you can get through the entire curriculum in less than an hour. And that will make you a Photify Pro. So you can create anything from using templates to using videos, overlays, share tools, schedulers, projects, the list goes on. But yeah, so excited to share more on that and help everybody bring their identity to life. There's a lot that you can do on the Photify platform. As I mentioned, we are really, really big in across real estate and with our real estate agents and brokers, but also in the direct selling and franchise space as well. So excited to see what you all create. We always love when we see our users tagging us. So at Photify app that is a really great space for you to get in touch with us, or on any of our Facebook groups. That's a really good space to also provide your feedback. So again, my name is Angelique Boulding, and I thank you for joining today's course on what goes into a brand. And we're going to go into a live segment next. So if you have any comments or questions about the webinar, please add that into the comment section, and my team and I would be excited to chat with you. So excited to see those in the comments, and excited for you to share your creations with us at the Photify app.